Hey guys, welcome to the Killing the Tea podcast. This is Gare,
And Kate.
and we are going to be discussing all things chills, thrills, and kills. Kate and I are going to be talking about our favorite books, TV shows, and movies that are in the thriller or crime fiction genre, as well as some reading habits and other items related to how we met on Bookstagram that will fit in with this podcast. So, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you have fun and get totally terrified. I'm in like a habit now as like my treat to myself is
Hmm.
scrolling through TikTok for like a half
Yes.
hour to 45 minutes
Or
before
three
I go to bed.
hours.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. Sometimes it's like an hour, hour and a half, and I'm like, where did the time go?
I know.
And even though we have this amazing podcast on
Hmm.
murders and chillers and thrillers and all of those dark things that we love, I
Yes.
like found myself the other day scrolling through Book Talk and
Hmm.
ended up on specific, I don't even know how, specifically on Colleen Hoover Book Talk.
And the specifically how is she makes up most of book talk.
It's insane. It is insane. And I was like, okay, like I've read a couple of her books and I really enjoyed them, but they were
Hmm.
her two thrillers, which is
Hmm.
obviously why. But then I ended up reading
What
another one
is
and now
the
I'm
it's Verity and what's the other one? What's the
Layla.
thriller? Layla. Okay.
Layla.
Okay, good to
That's
know.
the other one. That one has a supernatural element.
Okay. I've
Just
only
to
read Verity.
I loved Verity. I liked Layla.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I think
Verity was
Layla's
one that I
definitely
stayed
worth
up
it.
until 2 to finish. Like I
So good.
started it like later in the night because I just like saw someone talk about how great it was and I didn't put it down. I was like, this is compulsive.
So I scrolled the other night and then I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna accept this challenge of like, I'm in a mood now to read something that she has written. And I had a copy of a book called Ugly Love, which is like the nice girl who meets the dark and brooding guy who has like a secret past, and he's like, I can't give you a relationship, but they just agree to like friends with benefits. um I read it in probably 3 or 4 hours, like just
Wow.
not putting it down, not
Yeah.
putting it down, did not want to stop, could not stop, just absolutely loved it. So now I've like talked to people who are fans of Colleen Hoover and I made a list, and like I took Friday off from work and I'm going to this like huge Indigo bookstore and I'm going to like fill up my cart and just buy whatever I want. I'm going to get thrillers too, but I'm going to get a few Colleen books.
That is amazing that you took the day off to just for books. I mean,
I
why
had,
not?
yeah, I mean, I had the day off anyway, so it wasn't
Oh,
just
nice.
specifically for Colleen
Okay, I
Hoover.
thought this was like a decision like at
She,
2 a.m. on TikTok.
no, this was like probably a month ago. I was like, you know
Okay.
what? I want to do something in the fall. I want to go to this bookstore because it's about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours away from me.
Okay.
And I was like, I want to go there and I just want to take a trip where I can have a day where I can relax,
Yeah.
read like or look at books, whatever, and just take my
Yeah.
time instead of like running in and picking out something and running out. So
Mm-hmm.
I had decided this, but now it's kind of like half of me just browsing and seeing what I can find, and the other
Mm-hmm.
half of me is going to be like on a Colleen Hoover mission.
That's awesome. She has like how many books
A
does she
ton,
have? Do you know?
a ton.
I
I
know it's a
think there's
lot.
like,
It's more than 10.
I think it's either close to 20 or it's like a little
Okay.
above 20. I have
Wow.
four. I have four of them. So I
Wow.
would
And you've
be like,
read 3 of them?
I've read three. I've read
Yeah.
three. But
Which
the
one did
thing
you
that
read next?
I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know. I have
I feel
like
like
little
everyone reads
notes.
Ugly Love and then it ends with us.
Ugly Love is the one that I want to read, or I did read and I loved.
Yeah.
It ends with us maybe next because I guess the sequel or the prequel, there's some like
Oh yeah,
other
you're right.
story comes out in like
Hmm.
October. Um, but I have like little notes because people are like, you should read this one before this one, and you should read that one before that one. I
Oh,
guess like maybe because the characters from a previous story might pop up, but
okay.
the thing that I really enjoyed about Ugly Love and that I'm
Mhm.
hoping continues because people have told me this continues with her
Mhm.
books, is that while they're not necessarily thrillers, there are like
Mhm.
plot twists and like things that
Okay.
you'd never saw coming. So maybe that'll be just a nice little palate cleanser for me in between like
Yeah.
all of these like thrillers and like
Yes.
because I love Nordic noir too, and a
Yeah.
lot of Nordic noir deals with really really dark heavy subjects.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
maybe these will be like nice little like things in between where
Yeah.
it's not all like dead bodies and sexual assaults in the plots.
We know how much you love a toxic male lead.
Oh my goodness. I know. I know. Yeah, yeah. I do love a good toxic male lead, but the only thing that makes me nervous about that is that if I read about a toxic male lead, I'm gonna be like, I haven't watched Yellow Jackets yet because I'm watching Euphoria all over again
You're like, I'm
from
back
my
to
boy Nate
Jacob.
Jacobs.
I couldn't help myself.
I couldn't help it. That's like, I know. It's gonna be like I'm gonna have to go to like Euphoria, like rehab or something. There's gonna be like meetings for like all of us that can't stop watching it.
That'd be kind of on brand for the show too.
Yeah, you're right. I could
Hmm.
I could like build a support group,
We
but
need
they'd
to
probably
build a
be like
support group,
they'd
little
probably
Facebook
kick
group.
me out because they'd be like, you're crazier than all of us.
Or you just be the leader and everyone would like wish to be as big a fan as you.
They're like, this is a support group for people who can't stop watching Euphoria. And I'd be like, I made us t-shirts. Give
They're
in to your
fun.
addictions to the show. Here's your t-shirt.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
It'd
It probably exists out there somewhere too, now that I
have
think
to.
about it. I'm
It'd
sure
have
it
to.
does.
It'd have to. I mean, I don't know.
So,
There's just a
mhm.
ton of amazing stuff in it. And I love the cast and
Yeah.
I want to see them all in more movies, I guess, because
Yeah.
I feel like the thing about this year, I don't know if this is a good segue for you, but
Yeah.
I feel like the thing about this year is there have been some really good movies
Mhm.
in the thriller horror genre, but there's also been like a lot of actors and actresses who have really just popped up and like now they're kind of like in everything.
Yeah.
Like Daisy Edgar
Edgar Jones.
Jones.
Yes.
I can't
She
turn
was
around.
amazing.
She's in everything. Everything.
Mhm. Yeah. She was I saw
I
Where the
love
Crawdads Sing with my sister-in-law, and she was fantastic in that movie, and if you've read the book, you also know a lot of it is all about Kaya, who's the main character. And so like it's like her facial expressions, even when she's not interacting with many people, because she is just like living off by herself from the time she's like 6 on. Um, and her acting just you would have to be the right actress to play that role because like
Mhm.
the whole movie is on your shoulders. And I thought it was one of the best book adaptations I've ever seen. It was like, super true to the story, and I felt like there was like the book spans her life, which is not a spoiler. It really spans her entire life, and
Mhm.
even doing that, it still felt like the movie hit every single important plot point, like every single one of them in 2 hours still. So I was really impressed with the adaptation.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot of people who loved the book
Hmm.
loved the movie. And
Yep.
also props to you because it's not a thriller. So look at
I
you.
know. It
This
is
is
a
like,
mystery though.
oh, it is.
Yeah, oh
I
yeah, and there are twists.
I I feel like for the past however many years that it's been out, people have been
Mhm.
like, "Did you read it yet? What did you think? Like, what do you
Mhm.
think of like the ending? What do you think of like
Yeah.
every?" And I'm like, I haven't read it yet because I didn't know that there was a mystery
Oh
element
yeah.
to it. Um, and so now that the movie's out, I want to read the book before I watch the movie, but
Mhm.
it's been out in theaters and I had a big summer of reading, like trying to catch up on all these like things that were coming out. So
Yeah.
now I'm just like at the point where I'm gonna try to get to the book before the movie is streaming somewhere.
Yeah. Well, it came out today on streaming,
It
so
did.
yes, literally today. But
Oh my
you're a little
god.
behind.
Oh. You're like, can you read this? Can you read this as quickly as you read
Can you
Ugly
read it
Love by
before you
Colleen
fall
Hoover?
asleep? Yeah,
Well,
it's not a spoiler to
well,
give
shit.
away that like the one story that's taking place is I think she's
Coming.
like 18 or 19, and a boy from town, like the golden boy, football quarterback, all that, dies. And everyone suspects her of it because she's the marsh girl that they all think is weird, but none of them ever tried to like help her either when her parents left her. um
Damn.
so so that's what's happening in the present, and then you go back all the way to when she's a kid and work your way back up as the trial is happening to see she's in jail, like arrested for it, and as the trial is happening you're piecing together what's been happening. In some ways it's a little bit like you know how To Kill a Mockingbird has like the trial interspersed with different stuff. It's kind
Yeah.
of like that, but like more mystery, and you get to see like how she became who she is. And then there's like all the commentary on like how we treat outsiders and all that stuff.
I love the I love the poster. I
The
love
poster is beautiful, and I love how the poster is an homage to the book cover. Like they have the same colors in them, like it's so similar to the original book cover,
I'm gonna have
and it's
to
beautiful.
figure
Like the whole
out.
movie is beautiful. Even when you're reading the book, the atmosphere is just amazing. Like I would never survive in a marsh ever. Like the mosquitoes would literally kill me, but it made me wish I could.
Okay, well, that was probably one of the best endorsements. So I
Yeah.
will. Damn,
It's a multi-genre book and it's very good.
you had me a multi-genre. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I have some work to do.
Right?
Um, all right, well, have a good night. Just kidding.
You're like, I have a whole book to read.
I'm like, see ya.
We're
Um,
done.
did you this is fantastic because one of my favorite movies of the year was
Mm-hmm.
Fresh.
I didn't see that.
It has Daisy in it
Okay.
and Sebastian Stan. And
I'm looking it
it
up.
is a thriller horror. I
Oh.
don't know if people would
Watch on
consider it.
Hulu.
Yes, it's on Hulu.
Huh.
It's so good.
Nice. I'm
It's
adding it to my
not for
list.
those of who have a weak stomach. I will say that.
That's not me.
But it is about Daisy Edgar Jones,
Mm-hmm.
not and she meets Sebastian Stan in a grocery store when she's frustrated with the trials and tribulations of dating life, and
Yes.
he is not the dreamboat she thought he was. So that's all I can say because I like
Nice.
just kind of like looked up the synopsis really quickly just to make sure I
Mm-hmm.
didn't spoil anything. But that's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna
me
say.
too.
Um, I watched it when it came out on like a Friday night, and the whole next day I was like, it was one of those things where when I finished it, I really, really enjoyed it. And I was like, wow, that was really cool. That was enjoyable. I liked it. I went to bed. And then the next day when I woke up, I was going to get my morning coffee and I was thinking about this movie. I
Yeah.
was like cooking dinner and I was thinking about this movie. And so, like, that
Nice.
Saturday night, I watched it again because I just
Nice.
could not get it out of my head. And
Yeah.
I loved what they did with it. Obviously, Daisy and Sebastian Stan, whew,
I
let me tell you
bet.
what, there's some chemistry between those two that I never
Mm.
knew I needed in my life. But also the performances that they give.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And there is a woman in the movie. I do not know her name because I've never seen her in anything else,
Mm-hmm.
but she is Daisy Edgar Jones's like best friend in the movie, and she completely just killed it. Like she was so
Nice.
so good. I loved her character. She came
Is your
off so
friend
natural.
Penny or Molly?
Molly,
Okay.
Molly, my girl Molly.
Jojo T. Gibbs gave that amazing performance then.
Yes, Molly, amazing. Also, now that you mention it, I do remember the character Penny, and that actress did a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic job. Everybody in the movie did a
Nice.
fantastic job. It's just that I think that the only people that I really recognized were Daisy
Uh-huh.
Edgar Jones and Sebastian Stan.
Yeah.
But it is so good. If you
Yeah.
want, I would say people who liked the movie American Psycho would like
Mm-hmm.
Fresh. It's that
Nice.
satire kind of, thriller horror dark,
Yeah.
dark comedy, I
Yeah.
guess. But yeah, I absolutely loved that movie. I want to
That
watch it
sounds
again.
amazing.
It was so good. It was so
Like
good.
a comedy horror thriller, basically all in one.
Yes. Yeah. But it also is like kind of, this satire on dating
Okay.
and how it's just it's kind of that one side of the spectrum of like, is it really that fun to be single?
Yeah. Right.
In the final scene, I will tell you there is something that I think you will die laughing.
Oh my gosh.
That is one of the funniest things. I don't know why I find it so funny. People might watch it and be like, that was stupid, or that's not as funny as he's making it out to be, but like I crack up just thinking about it. So there's
That's
definitely
awesome.
something, there's a moment of, how your
Yeah.
bangs, Larry, that I find funny in the movie.
Oh my gosh. Yes. There
Yes.
was, I know
So
I talked about it in the first episode, but when you're saying satire and horror and twists all in one, Bodies is amazing for all of those same very similar reasons. There's a little more satire on cancel culture and pointing fingers and Gen Z in general is more what the satire is on that one instead of like dating, but otherwise like it is a slasher thriller mystery satire horror movie, just everything in one. And it was, the pacing was amazing, like you are not bored at any point, and it's like right at an hour and a half. Like a lot of movies are trying to like go longer than 2 hours lately, right at an hour and a half, and every scene is worth it. So I don't need to say much more about that one, but that one's amazing.
I need to watch it. I can't wait for that
Mm-hmm.
to be streaming.
I think it's October. I think I looked when we talked about
Could
it.
you imagine if you were like, it's today?
I know.
Same
You'd be
thing
like,
with
really
we're
though, I'm leaving.
I'm out of here. Um, I really, really, really want to watch that one.
You're gonna love it.
I think so.
And then there was
I
Watcher that you found.
that was on my list. It's number one on my list.
Yeah. Yeah. That one was amazing.
Watcher is so good. It is so dark.
Mm-hmm.
It is so atmospheric. It is so creepy. It is
Yes.
cinema. Like the cinematography is just amazing.
Beautiful.
I love that. I love,
Mm-hmm.
love, love that movie.
Yes.
Um, if anybody doesn't know what Watcher is, it's Micah Monroe new movie. You can rent it on like anywhere, and I think it's
Yeah.
also, I know it's streaming on Shutter because I saw it on there the other night.
Okay.
And it is about a young woman who moves with her boyfriend or husband. I'm not sure. Maybe he's her husband.
I can't even remember. He might
That
be her
that
fiance.
that part's not important. Some
No.
dude she's in love
Some
with.
dude who doesn't trust her.
Yeah. And she moves with him to Bucharest.
I think so.
Yeah. Um, and she does not speak Romanian.
Yep.
Okay. I think it's
We're
romantic.
showing our white
Yeah.
Americanness.
I'm showing like I'm like, this movie's amazing. I don't know what it's about. But anyway, she moves with him to, I believe it's Bucharest, and she
A
does not.
country where she doesn't know the language.
Yes, yes. And so you have that um feeling like an outsider perspective from
Mhm.
her because there's no subtitles. So
No,
when people are speaking this foreign language, you don't know what they're saying.
you're as confused as her.
Yes. So
Mhm.
there's that like isolated feeling in that. And basically, to make a long story short, without any spoilers, she notices a man in the building across from her, and she believes that he is watching her at the
Mhm.
same time that she is realizing that there is an active serial killer in the city.
Yeah,
Amazing. It is so
so
good.
good.
So good.
It
I
was
think I've watched it
amazing.
3 times.
Yeah, I need to watch it again. It was so perfect. The ending is
So good.
another magnificent ending. Like the ending couldn't have been more perfect.
Yeah, the pacing, all of the small details. Like it's one of those movies too
Mhm.
that like you know if you watch it more than once, you notice a lot of different things, like
Yeah,
small
I bet.
details, and you notice things lurking in the background.
Mhm.
But yeah, it is so good. I loved that movie. It is probably my second favorite movie of the year.
I
So
think
good.
it would be tied for me with Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. They're
I
both similarly amazing, but I can't
Yeah,
tell which one would be my number one.
yeah. They're probably different feels too.
Mhm.
Like
They
I
are. Yeah, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is much funnier and Watcher is much creepier.
yeah, Watcher is definitely like something that if he were still alive today, I think like Alfred Hitchcock would do.
Yeah, because it has a lot of nods to his movies as well, because it's
Yeah.
most similar to Rear Window.
Yep.
And in the opening scene, she is like looking into the rearview mirror in the cab for a really long time. And that is like a shot right out of Rear Window. And then
Yeah.
gaslighting. I know there were a lot of gaslighting references as well. There's a lot that was just really cool homages to OG horror thriller.
Yeah. And the acting is fantastic.
Yes. That's another one where you're looking a lot at her face for most of the movie.
There's one part in that movie that
Yeah.
pisses me off so bad.
Mhm.
And I just cannot stop thinking about it. It's like my
Yeah.
favorite scene in the movie because I feel like it is very like big regarding
It's
like how she feels.
revelatory to her. Yeah.
Yes, but it's also so well acted. And I feel like other than, the finale of the movie, it's like the
Mhm.
part that got the most reaction out of me because, well,
Yeah.
there's a few. There's a few.
I was gonna say, I think there are two things that we talked about. I think I know what you're talking about. And then there's a really creepy scene near the end.
Yes. Yeah, there are yeah, there's two scenes that really really stick out for me. One of them
Mhm.
is just like I said, like the acting, and it's like infuriating because it also
Mhm.
plays on that trope of having your male character that believes that the female character is being hysterical when in
Yeah.
reality like she's just feeling
Yeah.
uneasy. um
Yeah.
which
Yeah, very
typically,
much gaslighting
yeah,
is what
and
it's doing.
I hate that in a book or a movie, but just the way that they did it in this one, it was so good.
Yeah.
It was
It
so
was
good.
painful. You were like there with her. You're like, "Are
Yeah.
you kidding me?"
Yeah, it's just like creepy and isolating, and it's so
Mhm.
good. So
Yeah.
yeah.
One more before I forget. I had to say one more TV show because some people may not know about this one and need to. Severance on Apple TV. Oh my gosh, one of the best psychological. It is the best psychological thriller I think that I watched this year. It in terms of being an extremely high concept show, and they pulled it off. And that's not always easy to do. The gist of it is in the near future, you can have a partition kind of put up in your brain where it severs your two realities. So you're the version of you that goes to work remembers all of the things that happen at work, and then when you leave the parking lot, you're your real original self and you don't remember anything about the work self. So the idea is like people with security clearances, like in when you're working on something really secure like that, the positive use of something like that is that like they couldn't share details to important stuff. Obviously, as you can imagine, there could be massive negative connotations to not remembering what your boss is making you do at work. And so it explores so much about even about like dissociation and like how we kind of do that with some stuff anyway, where we're like, when I'm here, I'm just like this person, I'm shut off from this other version of myself. And just so many things are happening, and you don't understand what's happening for a few episodes. And then things are just like constantly turning. And then there's a massive twist at the end. And it's a work of art.
It's on my list
Yeah.
from my little like I want to watch this because it was
Yeah.
nominated for an Emmys,
It
for an
was
Emmy.
just amazing. It was another one that I watched in a day.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
That one's just as
Um,
good as the rest.
yeah, I'm
I
definitely gonna
thought it
check
would
that one
win
out.
more, but it
Mhm.
was up against some big competition.
I
Everyone
was
was
gonna
up against
say
big competition.
a lot of
Mhm.
things that even if I like even if there were things that like I hadn't watched, there were a lot of things that I was like, I know that that's probably gonna win because of the way people talk about it, or just the kind of like plot of the show. You could tell that it's gonna be a big winner.
Yep. Yep. It
So
was wild.
I
So many good ones.
yeah. And before I forget, because if this is unlike me to not mention this, but I think that one of my favorite movies of 2022 was, without a doubt, the new Scream movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still have not seen
I
that.
don't know how the Scream movies are my comfort movies. They're my
Yes.
jam. I
Yes.
can watch them all over, like all the time, once a
Mhm.
week if I had to. I just love them. And I love how they have continued this series with the new
Mhm.
movie. Um, it's obviously the first movie without Wes Craven. So
Mhm.
um there's a lot of like homages to
Oh
him.
nice.
But they also didn't like copy like the formula of any of the previous movies. They
Oh
just kind of
good.
like they kind of did their own thing. And it's almost like when you watch it, like it is very different than the first four,
Mhm.
but it's almost like a love letter to like these movies and how they're kind
Mhm.
of taking these stories and like turning it into something that is their own
Okay.
without disrespecting the original franchise.
Yeah.
Um, and I love Melissa Barrera. She's like the new lead in
Yeah.
it. She's fantastic. I absolutely love her. So
That's
that is
awesome. I'm
my
gonna watch that too.
that is my
I've been
shout
trying to
out.
keep up with your reading pace. I was just editing the first episode, where you did explain how to read 16 books in a month, basically. And so I have been trying to not watch much TV and read more. Which is not bad, but
You know,
I definitely have some piling up on my list, TV and movie wise.
I will say I do not remember what I said in the first episode about how to read 16 books in a month. Um, I think it's very good and it's very healthy to watch an hour of TV a day.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like my wind down time is like watching
Yeah.
like either a movie or an episode or two of, like whether it's like right now I started watching Law and Order SVU from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because I used to just be the person that would watch the marathons on like the USA Network, but I
Yeah.
started watching it from the beginning. So like I watch a couple of episodes of that. Um, The Real Housewives, maybe.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna
Um,
bring up. That's what I watch at night.
yeah. So I mean something like that. But I usually watch like a couple of episodes of something. before I go to bed, and then I like to read for like maybe like a half hour to an hour before, like
Yeah.
between the TV time and like when I actually fall asleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think working from home too has really helped because
Mhm.
I mean, other than like seasonal, like if it's like winter or if I just didn't sleep well the night before, I might take
Mhm.
like a little snooze on my lunch break. But other
Yeah.
than that, I do like to read on my lunch break too.
Yeah.
Feels a lot
That was
like
the funny
Severance.
thing
You know
that
what I
you
mean? I can
said.
like leave everything at work, even though my work
Yes.
is like a foot away from where I'm reading.
Yes.
But yeah, you can just kind of like read on your lunch break. And
Yeah.
then you come back to work and you have something to look forward to because you want to pick that book back up.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to follow us on Instagram so that you can keep up with everything we're reading and talking about. You can follow Gare at Gare Indeed Reads, and you can follow me, Kate, at The Girl with the Book on the Couch. See you next week.